To get the most out of this move, you only need to even complete 5 reps per side. That will get your blood pumping and everything warmed up. Hey guys, it's Corey from Redefining Strength, and today I want to talk about a must-do stretch that you should do every single morning. This is a great way to loosen up from head to toe and address all of those different muscular imbalances and areas of immobility that we get from sitting at a desk all day. I know often when we're short on time, mobility work is the first thing we skip, so by starting our morning with this stretch, we can really loosen up from head to toe. It's also a great full body warm-up for those times you're short on time and are considering skipping your warm-up. I know we all do it, we just want to get to the things we feel are more beneficial, but if we do this one stretch even to loosen up, we can get more out of our workouts and even help ourselves prevent injury from head to toe. So what is this amazing stretch you should do every morning or even as a quick warm-up? It's the world's greatest stretch, but I like to make a few tweaks to this move so that you can get even more out of it. This stretch is a great way to address ankle mobility, hip mobility, spinal mobility. It's a great way to activate your glutes, engage your core, and even work your upper back. It's really a perfect stretch to loosen up from head to toe. Because it's a dynamic stretch, you'll not only loosen up, but also warm up your body as you do the movement. It's key that you also focus on what you feel working. You want to think about engaging your glutes to drive your hips into extension or even engaging your upper back as you twist. Often we sort of rest on structure when we're doing stretches and don't really focus on what we're trying to accomplish with the movement. And then we don't get as much out of the exercise. So if you want to warm up and loosen up everything from head to toe, do this one stretch. To do the world's greatest stretch, I like to add in a downward dog. So instead of just going from that plank position to that Spider-Man lunge, stepping the foot outside, I like to include the downward dog first. By using the downward dog, you're going to work on your ankle mobility, improving your ankle dorsiflexion, or your ability to draw your toe up towards your shin. You're also going to work on spinal extension. This is so key if you spend a ton of time hunched over your computer. Because we're spending so much time in spinal flexion, it's really great to reverse that hunch by working on that spinal extension. So you're going to push back into downward dog, driving your heels towards the ground. Really focus on lifting your glutes towards the ceiling and extending your back. Then you'll move back into the plank position, stepping one foot outside your hand. When you're in this lunge, it's really tempting to just sort of focus on stepping that foot outside, but also focus on squeezing that back glute. When you squeeze that back glute, you drive your hip into extension. If you find that this requires too much mobility and you can't really step the foot all the way outside, you can sort of do that little extra step and reset. You can also drop that back knee. By dropping the back knee, it won't require as much core strength, which can be great if you're just starting out. You want to make sure your foot is outside your hands and flat on the ground. You'll then drop that inside elbow towards the ground, trying to really twist that spine to reach down. You'll feel the stretch in your hip and glute. You'll then reach that same hand up towards the ceiling. As you rotate towards that front leg, make sure to engage your back. Often we just sort of stretch our shoulder and we don't really engage our back to properly open up our chest as we rotate towards that front leg. You'll put your hand back down on the ground after that rotation. I like to add an extra little hip flexor stretch here, where you actually drop your back knee to the ground and then you squeeze your butt as you lift your hands. Don't arch your lower back just to reach up higher. Pause in this hip stretch and really squeeze that back glute to drive the hip into extension. Then you'll want to place your hands back down on the ground as you sit back on your heel. Well, if you have anterior pelvic tilt, you might want to avoid a lot of hamstring stretching. It is key that we also stretch our hamstrings by doing a proper hip hinge. We want to ingrain that hip hinge movement pattern before we even go into our workouts so that we're loading our glutes correctly. So when you stretch your hamstrings, make sure you're actually hinging at your hips. You're going to want to sit back, but actually hinge at the hips to sit back. Your chest should go forward, but you're not rounding just to reach for your toes. Feel that stretch all the way down the back of your leg, even into your calf. Then come back forward, lifting that back knee as you place your hands down. You'll then want to step the foot back, go back into downward dog, and repeat on the other side. Because you're not really holding any of the stretches and you're constantly moving, you're going to feel your blood start to pump and everything warm up. It's a great way to really mobilize your joints because you're not just holding a static stretch, but actually putting the joints through a range of motion. Using this one variation of the world's greatest stretch, you're going to work on ankle mobility, spinal mobility, hip mobility, and you're going to really activate your glutes and upper back. It's a great way to really warm up your entire core. If you're just starting out and your mobility is restricted, you can do this whole movement off an incline. By putting your hands up on an incline, this move will require less hip mobility and also less core strength. It's a great way to also work on your shoulder stability if you tend to shrug when you're doing the full plank. To get the most out of this move, you only need to even complete 5 reps per side. That will get your blood pumping and everything warmed up. So whether or not you're looking for a great way to start your day or a quick warm-up when you would normally skip it, try the world's greatest stretch with these little tweaks. If you guys liked the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.